Hi, and welcome to another edition of Power the Pen. I am LaWanna Bradford, and I am so excited because today I have a very special guest joining us, Dr. Pastor Anthony D. Shannon. And with everything that's going on in the world, especially here in the U.S. where we're filming from, there is a lot of angst, concerns about what's going to happen financially, the economy, the loss of jobs, just it's creating a lot of angst and anxiety for people. And one of the things that we're going to talk about, we're going to unpackage, is what can people do? Because one of the things that cripple us often is fear of the unknown, fear of the what if. So we live in that what if zone rather than standing and dominating in the now, because all we have is the present. And so we'll be back in just a moment where I can introduce you to my very special guest, Pastor Anthony D. Shannon. We'll be right back. How's it going, Dr. Pastor Anthony Shannon?
What up, what up, what up, Doe? That's the greeting from Detroit. 313 is the place to be. What up, Doe? That's where God lives.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on Power the Pen. I've been watching you, living vicariously through you as you're jet setting all over the place. I believe you just returned from Las Vegas, where you were honored with the Flux Awards. Is that correct?
That is right. That is right. Yes, indeed. The Mentor / Leadership of the Year Award, globally, internationally. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You are a pastor. You're former military. Thank you for your service.
Hoorah.
You are it's quite interesting. I see some people see this dichotomy. It's like you're this pastor, but then you have your hand on the pulse with what's happening in the world. You have a passion for leadership, for empowering individuals, for speaking truth to power, because often we like to tiptoe around things and not really deal with the issue at hand. But also what I love about you, because I've known you now for 3 years, is you're no nonsense. You're just bottom line. You just tell it like it is, and then it's like, okay, I just threw you the ball. Now what, right? What you gonna do?
You got me. Guilty as charged.
So we're going to talk about what you're going to do. What are we going to do today? Pastor Shannon, it's scary out there.
Yes.
And you've written this amazing book. I mean, you're an author of numerous books, but this one is a leadership book, whether you're in business, working for someone else, or just leading of your family and community. It takes money to make things happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes our limited mindset gets in the way. Fear gets in the way. Comparisonitis gets in the way. A whole bunch of stuff. We get in our own way. But your title, I love the title of this book. It's Sacred Success, Unlocking God-Given Prosperity.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you this question.
Sure.
Because we all know the scripture that says the love of money, right, is the root of all evil.
That's right.
And people take that and they run with it. And it's like, no, God does not want us to talk prosperity, be prosperous. We are supposed to be meek and humble and just be okay with our lot in life. But you're saying there is a sacred success, sacred, holy, divine, set apart, right?
That's correct.
That allows us to unlock God's given prosperity in our lives. I'm going to toss it over to you.
Yeah, first of all, we are debunking and re-educating people on what we consider as religious rhetoric, right? Religious rhetoric of information that's been passed down from generation to generation within our culture. And they picked it up in the church world, and then they begin to spread it forth. It's nothing less than rhetoric, and it is propaganda. Because when you yourself or anyone else begin to open up the Holy Writ, those 66 books written in the book, with the Old Testament, the New Testament, and some even have the Apocrypha, it all has in it, amazingly, over 800 to 1,000 passages on money, prosperity, goods, and things of that sort. And when you read it, it's like, this is a dichotomy here. Okay, this is we've been on a precipice, and we need to get off of it and now understand that God has no problem with his people having success. And so we're here to debunk that.
And I love that. I mean, when we think about Christ and the disciples, they didn't do all they did with nothing. I mean, there was a treasurer in the house, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you don't need a treasure if you ain't got no money. Let's get real clear. Okay, let's get real clear.
Yes.
If Jesus was poor, he has no need for a treasurer, right? People with treasurers got money, okay, or they anticipate having some money. And we know that Jesus had money. I mean, it's very clear that when he was born, the Bible says that when Jesus was born, he was born in a stable, right? The shepherds was at watch. But then when he was about 2 years old, the Bible declares that wise men came to show their respect unto Jesus, and they brought a frankincense, myrrh, and gold. Now, if you just do the research on frankincense, it's a fragrance, that a very, very expensive fragrance that was only used for high level government, high level officials, kings got this fragrance because it was so expensive. And then they said you had gold. Well, today's time, let's put it into the proper perspective. 1 ounce of gold right now today, earlier I looked it up, it's selling for $3,100. $3,100 for 1 ounce of gold. We're talking a quarter, a dollar, if you will. And they give you 3,100. In Jesus' day, they brought these bars of gold, and it says the wise men brought it to him. So it wasn't 3 wise men, because the history says that wise men always went in packs of a convoy. So it was more than 3. I think they just got 3 from, I don't know where they got it from, but it was more than 3. So think about that all of these wise men bringing each one of them gold in bars. Okay. So just that alone got them rich. Just that alone got Jesus rich. But they don't talk about that, nor do they point the finger on that. They always point to the manger, where he's this little boy in the manger with the cows, you know what I mean, and the sheep and the horses. That's what they focus on. They don't focus on what the wise men brought him. They don't focus on his dad was a carpenter who taught him how to do carpentry. And just think, if Jesus was doing your cabinets, or he's boy, oh boy, come on, somebody. Well, they're not thinking like that. So we have to help people think like that. Then what about the scripture that says, the silver is mine, the gold is mine? This is God speaking, all right? And he says, a cattle of 1,000 hills. Well, first of all, we know silver and gold is not spiritual. Okay, we're not talking something spiritual, right, that you can't touch. He said the silver and the gold is mine. So he must don't have a problem with you having silver or gold. He has no issue. He said the cattle of 1,000 hills is his. So he has no problem with you in business. He has no problem with that. Okay, it's people who came up with this in order to keep religious people, not all of them, just a group of them, down low, so much so they can control them. And that's the problem.
What you're saying is it's huge. And I always encourage people to really study and show yourself approved, because when you do research the scripture and then you put it in historical context and you understand where our current King James Bible came from, you know that Constantine was all about control.
That's right.
And he used it to do just that. And
Absolutely.
it's still being used to do just that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes, indeed. I mean, think about the Vatican in itself is so wealthy. They got their own bank, got their own system. So much so it is separated from the government, that every president that I know and saw pictures of have went to the Vatican to kiss the ring, bow down. The president of these United States go to Rome to kiss the ring. That is how powerful they have set that system up. And yet they have all of the money coming out of the Vatican into all of the dioceses around the world. So they not broke, okay? But they put out there a vow of poverty. Well, first of all, for us or people coming from our culture, we don't need to take no vow of poverty. They were already in poverty. You don't need to take a vow of poverty if you in poverty. You don't need to tell somebody you're broke when they already know they broke.
But you know what's interesting? You said they take a vow of poverty, so
Yeah.
they are still making money. Whatever they do, right? Their
Absolutely.
presence is attracting money.
No
They're
doubt.
just saying, I'm not taking it for my personal effects, but I don't need to, because the system is designed to take care of me with my own home if I choose not to live within the walls of the Vatican.
Mm-hmm.
I have something that takes care of me as I get older,
Mm-hmm.
my health care, all of that is not someone that's living in a state of poverty.
Oh, no, not at all. No, not at all. Even when the Pope travels, they pay him a certain salary, like $300,000, but he puts it into a trust fund where it continues to grow on the interest alone. But everything he needs is provided for him. Even when he travels, even when he came to the United States, Mercedes-Benz donated a vehicle to him that he didn't have to pay for. They customized it, and it traveled him all around. A private plane picked him up. I mean, he didn't pay for none of this. You follow me? Same way with our president of the United States. He's already a billionaire, and then he makes more money because he's the president of the United States. So it's amazing to me that they want certain groups to buy into you can't have no money so that you can't have no power and you can't do anything so that we can control you. Yet in the church world buy into that. But that is not what the scripture says. Success is not a destination. It is a divine alignment. When you are in alignment with God, then success comes unto you. Deuteronomy clearly tells us that. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth. He uses the term wealth. Right. And when you look it up in Hebrew, it means wealth. You follow me? And deeply well to do and well supplied. So true success flows from obedience, not ambition. The world system has created that ambition. Climb over somebody, talk about somebody, cut somebody, undercut them, do them wrong, but not sacred success. Sacred success, it flows from obedience, obeying God. And when I make success sacred, it now becomes sustainable, because now I'll do you right. I'll do somebody else right. I'm not in competition with anybody, right? I'm in collaboration. And in collaboration, we're going to have success. Two is better than one. And when we make that success, now we're sustainable. We don't have to worry about a quick fix. We don't have to worry about a shooting star. Then what happened to him? He can be around for 50, 60, 75, even 100 years. So the sacredness of success is revealed when purpose becomes more important than possessions.
I love that. When purpose becomes more important than possessions. And the scripture reminds us that God is telling us, beloved, I wish that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers.
That's correct.
Right. So if we are,
true.
Like you said, if we're aligning with our purpose and we are doing right by others, we're loving God first, loving our neighbor as ourselves, right? Then we can expect the flow. God not only said that he would give to us, but he says, and people tend to skip this, but I love the scripture where it says, men will give unto you.
That's
pressed
correct.
down and shaken together, running over. Will they give unto us? So he's using his vessels, called humanity around here. Like you said, the Pope, Mercedes-Benz, gave unto the Pope.
See, I think what happens with a lot of, how I want to say it, a lot of people is we live, if I could say it this way, we live in a natural world, but we're trying to operate with spiritual principles. And because we don't live in a spiritual world, we don't know how to tap into spiritual principles to make them work in our natural world. So we're always using natural things to describe a spiritual experience, and that's not going to work. You have to learn the principle first, then live by the principle in order to get the spiritual effect. And that's where it becomes somewhat discombobulated in people's mind, because God never told us that growth was just going to be automatic. See, right. God never delays growth but people delay growth based off of their obedience. You know, if it takes the seed to go into the ground to die what it is as a seed in order to now become the tree, then he's got to go into the dirt and die. Most people don't want to die to grow. They want to remain who they are, stay the same, act the same mindset, same everything, and expect to be the tree. It's not going to happen. It says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so the transformation is not tomorrow's event. It is a today's decision. So when I make a decision.
That's deep. And I know our listening audience are like, okay, are you going to talk about the book? We are talking about the book.
Absolutely.
But I'll give you some specific things that he said in this book. So we're going to start with chapter 1.
Yes.
And it's exactly what you're saying. It's the mind. You said wealth, the commitment that changes everything. And you hear people, and again, it's just how individuals are taught, especially in the consulting coaching world. Set your intention, make your vision board, blah, blah, blah,
yes.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
But if it worked, if it were that simple,
you
wouldn't have so many broke people.
Come on now.
But you said here, wealth, the commitment that changes everything. I can intend all day long. And when something happens, when there's a hiccup in the road, I come up with any excuse to not do or justify why I'm not doing what I need to do. But when I'm committed, that's where the by any means necessary. I'm so tapped in, tuned in, turned on to it that no matter what, I'm not going to let go, right? Until you bless me. I'm holding on.
Absolutely holding on.
People aren't committed. So can you talk us through that? Why do people want so much and want to do so much, but they won't do what they need to do? They won't commit to it.
Well, I tell people this all the time. To live is to grow, and to grow is to change. But change requires growth. And when we're talking about growth, it always brings pain. Most people run away from pain. They don't want to go through pain. That's why they don't like to work out, because working out, you have to go through some pain, right? If you're going to grow, get a new mindset, it's going to be painful, right? If you're comfortable, most people are trying to get to be comfortable. And that's why we said wealth starts in the mind, not in the wallet. We put that in the book, because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And many people think so comfortable and think so low but yet they desire a change. And I don't know who said it, but they said, if I keep doing the same thing all the time, but expecting a change or a different result, that's insanity, because it takes a change and you've got to be willing to change. And that means you got to go through a transformation. The transformation means I got to change the way I think. I got to change the way I react. And in that, I'll change the way I speak, because what I speak is the way I think, and the way I think is what I believe. If I want change, if I want better, if I want success, as we've been talking about in this book, then I'm going to have to do something different than what I've been doing. And that means I'm going to have to get out of the comfort zone, and I'm going to have to get into an uncomfortable position. You follow me? Nehemiah, I put this in the book, that he wasn't out there waiting for someone, right, to save him. Critics, they ignored them. Enemies outworked them, right? No, he said, there's some ruins that I see, and I envisioned these walls coming back together. Nehemiah didn't just wish for a miracle, he envisioned it. He saw it on the inside first, then he put the action to it, and to his surprise, he got favor. His own king gave him the decrees and the money and told other people to help him and give him money. Now, that's what you need right there. He didn't have no money. So I tell people, a lot of times you don't need the money, get the vision. If you get the vision first, money will show up. Okay.
I love that. One of the things that I always say is that when your vision intersects with opportunity, success is inevitable.
There you go.
But you have to first have a vision. You got to know where you're going.
You got to know where you're going.
And you said this, and I actually think this number is probably higher now because of everything that's going on in our country. But you said statistics reveal a sobering truth. 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Beneath this reality lies a mindset that erodes financial growth, a lack of vision and discipline. Without a clear picture of where one wants to be, the gravitational pull of mediocrity wins. Imagine a musician attempting to compose a masterpiece without tuning their instrument. The result is discord. Similarly, without aligning actions with intentions, financial chaos ensues.
Absolutely. You know, you had me laughing the last time you talked about people got vision boards everywhere, but I'm not a proponent of the vision boards because, you know, people thought, I got a vision board, I got this. Yeah, but you have not became your vision board. You follow me? You might talk a good game, but you haven't really became the game yet. And we know that to be true because even Kobe Bryant, who talked about the mama mentality, when he came in, even as a freshman, he did okay. But even though he was on a great team, he didn't do well. So he made a vow to himself that he was going to put the time in, put the work in, learn his craft, and outwork everybody. And to his surprise, over time, it made him great. Why? Because what you think about, you bring about. And what you do daily will determine your future. So if you want to change it, you can change it today in your mind, in your mindset. The process of change begins when you stop rehearsing what was and start embracing what can be. Most people focus on what they see. Well, I don't have but a little bit. I don't have, my check is only this. Well, you know, I can't do this. I can't do that. Girl, I would, but you know, well, you know, and the more they think about that, the more they speak about that, the more they bring about it. If they understood the principle of looking up from where I am in order to call forth those things that be not as though they are, then that's what I would draw to me. I like to give the analogy of when your house is cold, right? You go to the thermostat and you turn it up to whatever you want it to. If it's really freezing in there, you turn it up, let's say 75. You go on about your business. As you go about your business, you expect the thermostat to do its job, to communicate right to the furnace will kick on and start bringing up the temperature in the house to what you wanted it to be. That's the same way with people who want success, but they're not speaking success, not working towards success. And the thing they keep speaking about is what they keep bringing about. I don't have enough. I'm broke. I'm limited. And they don't understand the principle of the thermostat. You just turn it up and keep on walking, keep on moving. And before you know it, it'll be exactly what you envisioned and what you spoke.
Yes. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. So I want to piggyback on that.
Power of the Pen with LaWanna Bradford, expanding the impact and influence of authors from around the world. If you want to change the world, pick up your pen and write, said Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Books are uniquely portable magic. Power of the Pen spotlights authors from around the world. Listen as authors share messages that educate, motivate, inspire, and entertain. Join us each Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern on e360tv.com.
Okay, so we're talking about how we think, and not only how we think, but what we say, right? So our thoughts dictate our words, which end up impacting our actions. And you mentioned that commitment is not passive; that is action based.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to share this with you. And this happened when I was very, very young. And often, where we stand mentally with our money, if we take time and explore, we'll find its roots buried somewhere when we were in our childhood. Something we may have heard mom and dad talk about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was running around. This is my earliest of memories, which is quite interesting that it's my earliest memory is a financial memory.
Mm.
But I guess I was maybe around 2 years old, and I was running around at someone's little birthday party, and I was skipping and saying, "I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich." And my mom pulled me aside and she said, "Don't ever say that. No one ever needs to know who we are. That's not good to ever say that." And she said, "So if anything, say I'm poor." I'm 2 years old. I just remember thinking, I don't know what poor means, but it doesn't roll off my tongue the way rich versus poor. You know, it pulls you down. I didn't like it. I'm like, okay, but I'm not going that way. And so words really truly have power when you think about how they resonate within you. Again, rich, it's uplifting, it feels hopeful, it feels energetic. But when you say poor, it's like your whole body just buckles under the weight of the word. And I remember talking to my mom about this maybe a couple years ago. And I said, "Why would you say that?" She said, "Because she was brought up that you never let people know, you know, from that generation, she's 89, you never let them know what you have, right? Because you don't want it to be taken from you."
Wow. Fear.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And she carried it on. Isn't that amazing?
She carried it on, telling me, "You say you're poor." I'm like, I don't think so.
No. I'm not going to keep confessing that one. That's that vial of poverty they were talking about. Maybe that's from that generation. You're going to take this, or
but you know, in her, I guess, just in her defense, I think about that whole generation and where they came from, you know, coming from the Depression and all the ills of, you know, African Americans in this country. And there was in the church, and possibly even still, this sense of being lowly, meek, right? You just, you, if you had, you just didn't want to show. And if someone was showing their wealth, they were, as my dad would say, you're showboating. You know?
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And I think that's where in the church we misinterpret God. We think we try to put him in this itty bitty box of our budget when he's so much bigger. Like you said, gold and silver are his.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, the cattle on 1,000 hills are his. So we're like, but Lord, I got this little budget. So if that's all we're going to hand him, then guess what? That's what he's going to work with.
That's right. That is correct.
I'll turn it over to you.
You know, many people don't understand God, right? They limit him to maybe what their grandfather or grandmother, or if they went to church at all, whatever the pastor said. And that was determined by his revelation. So if you were coming out of slavery, then your God is, hey, we're just trying to survive to get to the next day, right? We got to shout just to keep ourselves from going crazy. If you're the oppressor, then your God is, yes, you're in control, you're dominant, you take over everybody. You know what I'm saying? But when you understand God, the one who created the heavens and the earth, and the one who said, let us make man in our own image and let them have dominion. The word dominion means to have rulership. So he's telling man that each man born has a jurisdiction of rulership. And therefore, the late Dr. Miles Monroe, who mentored me, said that every man born is born for a purpose. It wasn't just haphazardly you were born. And you need to understand the reason why you were born. And when you understand why you were born, then you find your purpose. And then I say, life without purpose is like living life not at all. So find your purpose so you can start living your life. And then you can leave a legacy. And that, when you find your purpose, that's what really sacred success is about, finding your purpose. Because when you find your purpose, wealth is inevitable. It's going to come. If my friend, he said all his life he wanted to do is fix teeth. Ever since he was a kid, he said, I just wanted to fix teeth, man. He said, I don't even understand. It's just something about it. I play with people's teeth. People just tell me there's something wrong with you. He said, my father became the first orthodontist, right? The first in Michigan. He became the third in the nation, African-American orthodontist. So he became the second Black orthodontist, right? And this in the history of orthodontists. Now they have 3 generations, which is unheard of for African-Americans, because he starts saying that the competition, first of all, to become an ortho is very steep. That's number one. Number two, they only allow so many in every year, maybe like 10. And they ain't letting African-Americans in. So that it's really even tougher, because the competition there, everybody's 4.0, everybody's this, everybody's boom, boom, boom. So for them to have 3 generations, he said, but man, listen, it's my purpose, man. It's what I love to do. My family does it. And listen, they're wealthy. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You understand the work they do and how it just pays them, and when you find your purpose, it will pay you. You don't have to beat up nobody. You don't have to scheme on nobody. You don't have to be greedy. You don't have to dog anybody. Just do what you've been called to do, and it'll show up. I promise you that.
I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be a devil's advocate for a little bit. So
Sure.
we have a lot of consultants, coaches out there making a lot of money, helping people, quote unquote, find their purpose. But yet these people who have supposedly found their purpose are still spinning on the struggle bus. Right? and then they're wondering, well, is this really my purpose? And I'm wondering, have we been conditioned? I'm turning this to you. It's a serious question. I've been contemplating it. Have we been conditioned to think that our purpose is something that we have to find? Because if I were formulated before the beginning of time, the idea of me in God's mind, and I'm carefully woven in my mother's womb, do you think that God, in his infinite wisdom, genius, divinity, did not wrap me in purpose at that time, at the time of my creation, that I have to go find it? Or do I just breathe and allow it to come forth?
Yeah, that's interesting. But let's just put it this way. And maybe when we say find, what we really mean is to uncover, right? To uncover, because God did put a blueprint. There's no question about it. He created a blueprint for people before they got to earth. It's clear through scripture, through many scriptures. David said, you wrote me in your book before I was born. Psalms 189 says, I was wonderfully and fearfully made before you knew me before I entered the womb. Jeremiah 29 and says, I know the thoughts that I have towards you, thoughts of good and not evil, to bring you to an expected end. So he's already have an end for you, no question about it. But you have to uncover it. You've got to, because God apparently doesn't want to control us in that sense, that he gave all of us free will. Even though he has this blueprint, you can go off track. And here's some wisdom I found out, that every one of us born, if I could say it this way, a star a star shines bright the moment we're born. So we have a star. It's the same way when they were looking for Jesus, they saw this star shining bright and they followed it and they knew that Jesus was born and they wanted to come worship him. We have a star, and that star is called Astor. Astor, Astor. The Astor is the alignment or the blueprint for our life. As long as we follow that path, we will uncover what our purpose is, no doubt about it. When we get off track of that alignment, then we have what is called a disastor. When somebody says, oh, that's a disaster. Disastor means I'm in misalignment. I'm off track. I'm trying to get back to the alignment so that I can continue to move forward. And that's why when Abraham was ready to offer up his son, that's when God said, oh, I knew you loved me, but now I know you love me. See, I see that you've chosen me, right? Just like a woman, she wants him to love her because he loves her, not because she can give him gifts, not because she can cook good, not because she got to hook up to everything. No. I want to know, if I didn't give you nothing, will you still love me? And that's a choice. You have to choose that. You have to uncover that. And that's the way it should be uncovered.
And thank you for that. And I like the way you describe that, because I know there's some people that are sort of scratching their head because they're being told you need to go find your purpose. At least I know within a lot of women's groups, that's what we're hearing. And so again, the language is very, very important. But if I say, we'll work together so that you can uncover, then it means it's right here. I don't have to go where I don't have to look what someone else is doing, right?
That's correct. It's all in you. There's no doubt about it. It is in you, right? It is. It's the truth. If you some people have an unction, some people have peace, they have something nudging them, or this uncomfortable feeling. It's like, man, I just don't feel comfortable doing this. But dude, you've graduated, you got a master's degree. Yeah, but I don't feel this, man. Then what do you feel? It ain't this. Well, that's them trying to uncover. That's them trying to uncover what it is they're supposed to do. And that's okay.
I've talked to you a lot about my dad. And the one thing that I found interesting in his 94 years, he said his entire life, he always wanted to be a soldier, and he was a careerman, and he did not know why. I said, well, even though he had siblings who were in the military, they were adults when he was born.
Wow.
So he wasn't around them until he became an adult. And I asked him over and over again, he goes, I don't know why. I said, but was there ever anything else you wanted to do? He said, absolutely not.
See?
And his entire life, even though he got out, he still worked mentoring other soldiers, and then the whole Buffalo Soldier history. I mean, he never let it go. And I just thought, what a gift.
Yes.
Those individuals that just have that, like the person who loved teeth, fixing teeth, to know so early and never venture down any other path.
That's right. That's correct. There's no doubt. My son did that. When he was 2, he wanted to play basketball. He kept picking up basketballs all the time. And so I remember talking to Dr. Miles Monroe, and he said, cultivate that. So we started cultivating everything that we would put before him. Every game was dealing with basketball or inside basketball. It was amazing. And we sent him to camps. By the time he was in middle school, he was very, very good. He would go to the Pistons camp up there with the Detroit Pistons. They loved him. They give him MVPs. And then when he got to high school, they wanted him to start. And over the summer, all his friends was like bragging on him how good he was. And he just came to me one day and said, I don't want to do basketball anymore. I said, what? What do you mean? I said, dude, we've been working on this since you were 2. You're in line to start the high school. They already gonna position everything around you. I said, you got colleges after you already? And he said, I know, but I don't want to do it. I feel not to do it. I said, what do you feel to do? He said, music. I really think that's my purpose. I said, music? You don't do nothing with music. He said, I know, but I'm going to. And from that day to the day, that's all he does is music. He's been doing music. He does album. I mean, it's amazing. He produces people, does stuff for us. I'm like, wow. I mean, he never looked back at all. So I went, I think you found your purpose, my brother.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to before we go into, you gave some steps in creating a wealth plan, because I know some people are like, okay, well, if I buy this book, is it going to help me out? I'm going to hear some things. I'm going to read about scripture, but at the end of the day, what's the so what factor? How is this going to impact me? But before we get into that, I did some research because I said, I wonder what people are saying about sacred success and Dr. Anthony Shannon. This person, Shakina Gregg, said, in a world clouded by hustle culture, materialism, and spiritual confusion, Dr. Shannon dismantles the toxic lie that prosperity is reserved for the privileged few.
Wow.
And we sometimes fall in that category, right? It's us versus them.
Yeah.
The haves and the have-nots.
Yes, indeed.
The privileged and the marginalized. I think we even have to be careful how we define ourselves.
Yeah. No doubt about it. That's such a the world we live in is about chasing something, right? You're chasing something. So, right. But when you follow your purpose, when you uncover it, like I said, my son, he just wanted to do music. And now people book him all the time. They book him. He was just in a movie, they pay him for that. You know what I mean? They pay him for his gifts and all the things they call him in to do. He's not chasing it down. Many people are calling him. And I said that when you make yourself known in your purpose that you've uncovered, then people will know when to call you. Once you find your purpose, you got to become the best at it. And then people will hunt you down. They'll find you, especially if you're the best at it. Everybody can serve, according to Dr. Martin Luther King. Everybody can serve, and serving is selling. We're
here with Dr. Pastor Anthony D. Shannon talking about his latest book, Sacred Success, Unlocking God's Given Prosperity. I want to emphasize the word there, God's given prosperity. One of the questions I want to ask you, because being where we are in the U.S. in a capitalistic society, the wealthiest nation in the world, this book may be easier to process. But let's talk about some of the emerging nations out there. How can they take these same principles in their communities, in their environment, and generate this God-given prosperity?
Yeah, one of the things about truth, right? When even the scriptures tell us this, and the reason I reference scriptures a lot, I tell people, is because it's the only book that's been proven, that's tried to be disproved. People have spent millions of dollars to prove its inaccuracies just to find out that it's accurate in so many ways. And so I'm like, well, shoot, if that book have lasted that long, then the principles in there must be as good as true. So I use a lot of references to that as well as others, but that one's the main one. It was so tough at one time, the United States used it in their court system to put people's hands on it. That's how powerful it was. And so when you talk about truth, right? Truth will make you free, but truth is transferable. Truth that is truth or principle, the truth is really principles. So if I learn a principle in the United States, I still can take that same principle to Africa. I can take that same principle to Greece. I can take it to France. It's still going to work. There are principles that God put in place that are the truths that work. One of them is sowing and reaping, right? So over in Africa or in other countries, when they don't have the big machine companies, right? Automotive, technology. Well, guess what? Even many of us, it was farming. So people start being agricultural by in the land, or they become creative. They create things out of the trees, cut the wood, carve it, just like in the old time. They would make images and make things and sell them, right? And so people, if they utilize principles, the principles work wherever they are.
You said build your wealth ecosystem. What do you mean by that? And how does someone do that? And third question, if I'm looking for guidance, I'm looking for that mentor to help me navigate this, are you the person they would contact?
There's no question about it. The first of all, I tell people all the time, change isn't just personal, it's systematic. Okay, that's number one. Breaking cycles of poverty, injustice, stagnation, it requires individuals who are brave enough to embrace the change and lead others to do the same, right? So my mother, who was a nurse, but she had three different boys, all three of us. We had three brothers. I got three brothers, or three of us all together, I should say. Two brothers, three of us all together, but three different fathers, right? So my mother, she was working, and it was tough for her. So my youngest brother's father said to us, I'm going to help y'all with one thing. He said, what is that? I'm going to help you overcome just the embarrassment of going through getting teased and bullied because you got three different names and you look alike. So I'm going to ask all of you, would you like me to adopt you and give you my name? We said, yes. We were young, and we all got the last name Shannon. That changed everything, because when we got to school and they start saying, hey, Shannon, how come you don't like your brother? But that's your brother, but y'all, oh, okay, he's got the same name as you. You got the same name, same mother. That shut a lot down. That shut a whole lot of things down, right? And so you do not conform to this pattern of the world. And that began to change our thinking, change our mindsets. When you have continuous poverty, it's a systematic pass down. The next generation picks it up. And it takes a brave person to confront it and go through the persecution of even their own family. Oh, now you think you're better than us, or you think that somebody gave you something that we don't have. It's not that. It's that I have something inside of me says I need to do something different. I need to learn something different in order to get a different result. And that's what we begin to teach people, how to overcome the system that have kept them in poverty and to develop a new system. I think and tell people and teach people that you need a profit and loss sheet for your life. You need to look at your life like a business. And if you do, you're going to begin to change, and you're going to begin to benefit with this information. Because let me give you this, for example. I got to ADP, automatic data processing. I became a training manager. Well, when I became a training manager, they offered me stock options, and they offered me pre-tax dollars on certain benefits and HSA, different things. Well, and to buy discounted gold or stocks, bonds. I didn't understand it. I was like, what? You want me to do what? You want me to give you how much money? And I kept thinking in my head, well, how much money I'm bringing home? They said, well, it's going to take this. I said, oh, no, I don't want to do that. And my boss kept saying, Anthony, listen, I need to break this down. I said, you're going to break that down, because I kept thinking bringing home money. Like, what do I bring home? My mom, I'm bringing home way more than my mother brought back then, and we was in poverty. I ain't going in there. He said, well, brother, if you learn this system, this will bring you out of poverty. I put my money up in there. I'll never forget it, for 2 years. And I adjusted my lifestyle to the money I brought home. And in the 2-year time, the stock that I bought, it split. So instead of 15 shares, I now had 30 shares. And I was like, wow, I went and took my family to Disney off one share. One share took the whole family. I said, this is the way to go. But I had to be educated. I had to be taught. And I somebody sure enough had to take time with me.
And that's a beautiful example, because you don't know what you don't know. And you're looking at right now, I got to keep a roof over my head and feed my family. Like you said, what's coming home? That's critical. But we need to be able to look at the now, manage this, but also have some foresight in planning. Right. And also I tell people, it's one thing to plan for your future, but you have to ask yourself, if I am blessed with longevity,
that's right,
am I going to outlive the money?
That's correct.
Right. And that's like, I was, and I keep bringing up Dad, but he's just a very interesting story, because he lived till 94.
Wow.
He retired at 60.
Wow. Never
worked again.
Wow.
His lifestyle didn't decrease.
See?
His quality of life increased. And it goes back to what you were saying, those investments. And that was a blessing. And again, as a Black man,
yes,
to be able to do that,
unheard of.
But he had what you had. Someone pulled him aside when he was a young buck in the military and said, you need to put this amount every single pay period.
Absolutely. And this is why I'm doing what I do, so that I can at least be a voice to those that are willing to change and those that are ready to change. Everyone's not ready to change, nor will everybody change. I tell people that all the time, that the will of God is not automatic. It isn't. If it was, then all of us would already be there. We'd already be walking in it. We'd already be saved. We'd already be rich. We'd already be whatever it is, but it's not so, because the will of God is not automatic. It only operates by a person's faith. If a person don't believe they can get it, they won't get it. If they don't pursue it, it won't happen, even though it's right there for them. I remember the story. I don't know if you heard it, but the comedian, he talks about Kevin Hart. He talks about his mother, who was trying to get him to read the Bible. And he said that his mother was paying for his rent at his apartment. And so she stopped one day and said, babe, did you read the Bible? He said, no, Mama, I didn't get a chance to read the Bible. He said, well, read the Bible. And he said, Mom, I'm just calling you to pay the rent. The money's due. She said, I told you to read the Bible, right? And he would never read it. So he said that the second month, third month, she said, hey, did you read the Bible? He said the fourth month, they told him he was going to get put out. He said, Mama, I'm about to get put out. Aren't you concerned? Don't you care? He said, baby, I care. Did you read the Bible? He said, no, Mama. She said, well, I don't know why you keep calling me until you read the Bible. He said he got mad and he knocked the Bible down off of his shelf, and the checks just fell out. All these checks was in the Bible. He said, wait a minute, this check go way back. Lord help me. He called my mama. I read the Bible. She said, you won't get put out, right? He said, you're right, Mama. You're right.
Well, Dr. Pastor Anthony Shannon, we are almost out of time. And I always let our authors read a little bit from the book. So if you could go to your last chapter, The Call to Break Chains and Build Legacy.
Yes, indeed.
And it's not a long chapter, but it's powerful. Can you read that as our right before we close? And I think this gives people a wake-up call, but it also gives them a call to action. So I'll let you take it away.
So, by God, this is the power of surrender, giving up your control so that God can step in and help. He wants to help you with your money. He wants to help you with your finances, and he wants to help you unlock anything that's stopping you from moving to your next. So prayer is like putting seeds down in a field. Faith feeds them, but action tills the ground. When you pray without doing anything, it's like putting seeds in bare ground. When you do something without praying, It's like working hard without planting anything. So they work together to make a strong relationship that changes a lot of lives. In Gethsemane, Jesus showed us how to do this. Not my will, but yours be done, was the last thing he said in prayer. But then he did something, the walk to the cross, which would change the world. When we pray, we feel strong and confident, knowing that our actions are in line with God's plan. I want you to do that today. Just pray and ask the Lord to bless your finances, give you the wisdom you need to turn anything around that you need turned around. And I believe you too can have sacred success. Here's what we say on the back. Too many people hesitate, trapped by fear, doubt, and scarcity. Despite the wide open gates to God's abundant vineyard, in sacred success, unlocking God-given prosperity, we uncover to deliver a provocative challenge. Step into the fullness of your divine inheritance and unlock a life beyond your wildest expectations. See, this isn't for the faint-hearted, though. This book is not for you if you're content with mediocrity, satisfied with simply getting by, or unwilling to challenge the beliefs and habits that keep you trapped in scarcity. It's not for those who shy away from faith-bold demands or prefer comfort or overcalling. If you're looking for shortcuts, quick fixes, or a prosperity gospel devoid of purpose, you won't find it here. This book is about accountability, responsibility, doing the work, putting the action in. If you're a dreamer, someone who envisions a life of impact, significance, and divine overflow, this book is for you. If you're a doer or someone ready to take bold steps, embrace God's principles, and align your action with His, this is your roadmap. If you're a kingdom builder, a believer who sees prosperity not as the end goal, but as a means to bless others and advance God's kingdom, then you found your guide. This is your moment to stop waiting, stop doubting, and start walking boldly in the inheritance that already is yours. The vineyard is waiting. And guess what? It's rich. It's abundance. It's not lack. It's full of purpose and opportunity. The question is, are you brave enough to claim what God has set aside for you? I hope you will get the book, Sacred Success. It'll bless you real good. I promise you that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pastor Anthony Shannon.
Thank you, woman of God.
I appreciate you. This has been wonderful. I put the information below. You can get this book on Amazon.com, Kindle version. I believe it's both paperback and hardback.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
So,
you got softback, hardback, and ebook.
Yes. So it's available. Great, great stocking stuffer. Great for your family. We're getting ready to roll into the new year. So if you're wondering about how do you step up, develop that platform so you can begin to build momentum, right, and unlock God's given prosperity, get the book. If you want that mentor who will help guide you and navigate, reach out to Dr. Pastor Anthony D. Shannon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
To our listening audience, thank you. We look forward to seeing you next week on another edition of Power of the Pen. And just remember that in life and in business, when your vision intersects with opportunity, success is inevitable. Bye for now.